The operations presented in this video are meant to be instructional to ensure quality construction. This video is not intended to provide a comprehensive overview of safety procedures. All parties should ensure that they are familiar with and follow all safety requirements, policies, and procedures that apply to their specific operation. This video will cover the finishing, curing, and opening to traffic requirements for a bridge deck placement. Please note that this video contains information from Publication 408, 2020, Change 2 editions. If you are working on a project that is governed under a previous version of the specifications, please reference those specifications, as some items have changed, especially with regards to curing and finishing procedures. This deck finishing and curing video should be viewed in conjunction with the following two videos: Bridge Deck Pre-Placement Operations, which provides information on pre-placement requirements, and Bridge Deck Testing, Placement, and Pumping, which provides information on the requirements of testing and concrete placement for bridge deck operations. Now, let's begin with the finishing operations associated with bridge deck construction. The concrete finishing machine is set up to finish concrete the entire width of the bridge deck from gutter line to gutter line, or longitudinal phased joints if the bridge is constructed in stages. The finishing machine is equipped with many moving and functioning parts. The carriage system rotates the cylinder, which changes direction, attack angle, and auto-advances when it reaches the gutter line. The roto-vibe helps consolidate and seal the concrete, especially low-slump concrete. The rotating cylinder also helps to consolidate the concrete and finishes the concrete to the appropriate grade. The drag pan and the wet burlap drag help to seal and texture the concrete surface. One must conduct finishing operations immediately behind the finishing machine from work bridges. The work bridges are typically set on the same rails as the finishing machine and can be easily moved. If the concrete surface remains open after the finishing machine operations, use a long-handled straight edge or float to close the surface. Do not over-finish the concrete surface. The use of steel trowels and Fresno floats are prohibited. While the concrete is still plastic, use a straight edge to test the concrete surface, and immediately complete surface corrections before the application of the intermediate curing compound. Ensure the entire deck is free from observable departures from the straight edges and the slab conforms to the required grade and cross-section. After completing the straight edge testing and surface corrections, the deck surface will be manually tined or mechanically textured. For manual tining, use a tining rake with tine spacing in accordance with Publication 408, Section 501.3, Table C. Texture the surface transversely in one pass for the full width of the deck. Do not overlap passes. Ensure the tines are as parallel with the surface as possible to avoid digging into the concrete surface. After the tining operations are complete, immediately apply the intermediate curing compound in a continuous light fog and uniform spray application. This prevents concrete moisture evaporation prior to the water cure being implemented. Once the intermediate curing compound is applied, do not perform additional concrete finishing operations. If you are planning for mechanical texturing during the concrete placement, provide initial texturing with a burlap drag or broom to produce straight lines parallel with the center line. Then, at a minimum of 21 days after the concrete deck placement, solid grooves are used to texture the deck. Do not begin final mechanical texturing until live loads can be applied, as specified in Publication 408, Section 1001.3, Table B. Check the deck surface tolerance prior to grooving operations and perform a test pass with the grooving equipment to ensure it conforms to the specification requirements. Any deficiencies must be corrected prior to beginning grooving operations. During the mechanical texturing operation, do not overlap solid grooves or leave more than 1 inch of the surface without solid grooves between passes. Remove and collect any debris and slurry concurrently with the grooving operations. Surfaces are to be immediately left in a washed and clean condition. Once the manual tining or initial mechanical texturing has been completed, and as soon as the concrete has hardened enough to support it, apply a double thickness of wet burlap. The double thickness is achieved by placing the second layer of burlap so each strip overlaps half the width of the preceding layer. Care should be taken to avoid dragging the burlap so the concrete surface is not marred. Keep the burlap wet until the concrete has sufficiently hardened to support foot traffic. At that time, place soaker hoses, sprinklers, or other accepted watering devices to maintain continuous saturation of the burlap over the entire surface. Water curing must be maintained for at least 14 days, and the water must be a minimum of 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If the 14-day quality control cylinders meet the minimum compressive strength requirement of 3,500 pounds per square inch, water curing may be discontinued and the burlap must be removed. If this minimum compressive strength requirement is not met, water curing must continue until the 28-day compressive strength requirement is met, or for a maximum of 28 days. Once the burlap is removed, ensure the deck surface is completely saturated, and then cover the surface with white polyethylene sheeting. This sheeting must stay in place for 7 days. High-low thermometers should be placed on the deck during the water curing period, and the temperature is to be checked and documented in the concrete inspector's diary or the mobile concrete app. Curing temperatures below 50 degrees Fahrenheit during the first 7 days and below 40 degrees Fahrenheit for every day of cure thereafter do not count as a curing day. If at any point the curing temperature falls below 35 degrees Fahrenheit, the work will be rejected. To help maintain curing temperatures during cool and cold weather curing, the wet burlap must be covered with polyethylene sheeting and insulation mats. When using insulation mats, the underside of the bridge deck must be enclosed and preheated before concrete is placed. Additional heating can also be used to ensure curing temperatures are met. At least 28 days after the last barrier placement on the bridge deck, apply epoxy binder resin to seal all gutter lines on the deck. Once the gutter lines have been sealed, apply boiled linseed oil or penetrating sealer to the bridge deck and barrier. Publication 408, Section 1001.3, Table B, provides information for placing live loads on the deck after placement. Ensure the criteria is met prior to performing additional operations, such as concrete barrier placement or opening the bridge to traffic. In conclusion, the finishing and curing operations are critical elements to ensure a quality concrete bridge deck. We hope this video has provided you with a greater understanding of the requirements associated with these operations. As a reminder, be sure to reference your project-specific documents, applicable sections of Publication 408, Project Office Manual, and Quality Control Plans for additional information. Please also note that this video has detailed the requirements listed in Publication 408 as currently written. It is important to note that each district may have different requirements or methods that they use during bridge deck placements. Be sure to contact the District Structure Control Engineer with any questions that may arise on your projects. Thank you to the many involved for your knowledge and contributions to help make this training video.